So we've got a one game recap. So we're pretty much all caught up here on ATL on Fire. We had the final game of the season against Cincinnati on the road. A game that really didn't seem like it mattered much when you look at what winning would get us versus losing, maybe drawing a worse team to play in the playoffs. So it was very odd that we went into that game with pretty much our starters except for Lennon, and really trying to go in there and win the game. Dave, what were your thoughts?
My thoughts were, boy, was I wrong.
Yeah.
So I tweeted before the game. Let's see here. I was responding to the Dirty South where they predict the lineup every week. And I said, they predicted basically the starting lineup. And I said, I would be surprised to see many of these players on the field tomorrow. There's an argument to be made for momentum or staying fresh, but caution probably rules the day, especially for those who played during the international break. I was wrong.
So much for caution. Like, why would you be cautious, Dave? Are there any good reasons for that?
Yeah, there's a good reason, because there's two things that could really throw off your playoffs: injury and or a red card.
Huh. That's interesting that you were thinking maybe there's a downside to going for it. In addition to what we were talking about in our last podcast, we kind of wanted Nashville to win and us to lose, right, and us to draw Orlando.
Now, Nashville... So we, at the time we were talking in the last podcast, Nashville had 2 games left. They won their first game against New England, which we thought was the tougher of the two. And then, they had to beat Red Bulls at home. Now, in fairness, we said at the time that Red Bulls would need that game to get into the playoffs. They had a lot to play for. Nashville wouldn't. I still thought Nashville would get it done at home. And they almost did. They gave up the game-winning goal in the 90-something minute on a PK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Red Bull gets into the playoffs. We'll talk about that in a minute. But in any case, Nashville wins. That's what we really would have wanted, because they would jump over us, and then we would get Orlando, which I think is a much better matchup by far of the top teams, being Cincinnati, Philadelphia, Columbus, in my opinion. Yep. I think that Orlando is the weakest of those 4.
Right. So,
I'm not saying they're a bad side, but the weakest of those 4. And it shows they have the lowest goal differential of those 4. So, not goal differential is not everything, but I think that is, to me, a reflection of what I think of them as a side. Right. Anyway, we had, even if you say you don't want that, even if you absolutely wanted to play Columbus or Philadelphia, right? Then,
do it with a different lineup that's not risking your...
Well, we didn't do it. We didn't win. And the chances of winning were pretty slim on the road at Cincinnati, right?
Yeah.
So was it literally our starting lineup except Brooks Lennon?
Yep.
He rested Brooks Lennon because Brooks Lennon apparently had a bad ankle injury. He still risked them in the last 10 minutes coming off the bad ankle injury.
In Cincinnati, they had their starters out there too, surprisingly. Right?
I was surprised. Noonan went with his starters too. Although their best striker was on international duty. Noonan disciplined him because he apparently showed up like an hour or 2 late back. And so he couldn't start because he was being disciplined. So that, to me, that was their rest. Yeah. He didn't want him. He was the one guy he didn't want. Now, I would have said maybe Lucio Acosta would have sat too, but he didn't. So, that's in fairness. He didn't do it either.
Okay.
But I think it's nuts. I mean, I concede the point about momentum and about wanting to, sort of play well. But it's a 3-game series. Right. It's not 1 game and you're out. Right. Mm-hmm. So even if for some reason you stumble a little bit out of the gate, you still got 2 games. Potentially you can win the last 2. So I don't think momentum is that much. I'd rather be rested, healthy, have the full squad.
So didn't do that. So let's look on the upside of momentum. Did we get any momentum?
Mm-mm.
Did we play well?
Mm-mm. A lot of people are talking about us having played pretty well. Before the red card, it was pretty even, I guess. And we scored 2 goals, but it was classic Atlanta United. We gave up 2 goals too. And we'll get to this in a second. I don't know if you remember, but I said we would give up 2 goals, which would bring us to 53 against. Does anybody recall how many goals we gave up last year?
I don't remember.
I'm going to go with 65.
No.
52.
No. 54.
Oh.
Okay.
This year we conceded 53. Last year we conceded 54. Right?
Oh, we are way
And
worse.
we might as well. I'm going to say it now because we're not going to circle back to it. I'm like, so at the end of last season, we talked about it a tremendous amount, right? Because we were like, it was a catastrophe for a season. It was all these people on Twitter who were saying, oh, but we had so many injuries. Pineda, how many times did he say that we had all these injuries and it cost us not only in play, but our morale? And in particular, he talked about the leadership vacuum that Guzan and Miles had, left, right?
That's right.
And that was the reason that we gave up so many goals, which is why we were terrible and didn't make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So this year, he's got those guys for the entire season, and we have a so much better defensive record, right? No, the exact same defensive record.
And what was the playoff line last year? 7?
Yes.
Okay. So we would have just limped in even last year to the playoffs.
Did we finish 7th last year?
We didn't make the playoffs at all last year.
Yeah, no, we were way below that, right?
Yeah,
9
we finished like
We were
9.
9, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So even last year, we'd have just snuck in, given the
play-in
given the play-in and all that.
Got it.
So
Double checking them.
6th.
Last year we were 11th.
6th is
11th?
We were 11th last year. We
Are you
wouldn't have even
kidding?
made the playoffs in a 9.
Oh, I didn't know we were that bad.
11th out of 14.
Ouch.
I just
That's a fact.
as I said,
The internet.
I've already heard some of the rumblings of Pineda talking about mentality. He's going back to the word mentality
Right.
as his shield, because he can't go back to health. Everybody's healthy. And the reason, we didn't win the last game is the mentality of Almada.
The reason why we can't
because
get
he
over
was
the hump.
silly.
Yep.
Is a bad mental. We got to get over these mental mistakes, an immature move. Like, he will throw him under the bus, guaranteed. And how about his own mentality of even playing him in a useless game?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I mean, the other thing about Almada in particular, right? And I'm not saying that when I tweeted it out, I was like somehow prescient that Almada was going to get red carded. But, Almada, for a young guy, has played and played and played. Keep in mind, he played in the World Cup, right? He had, while everybody else had an off season, he had a Winter World Cup where he not only had a World Cup, but then he went back to Argentina to party, the whole thing, then went right into the season. And then he's had international duty. He has had nothing but play.
Yeah.
So you can
one
see
chance to rest him here for the playoffs.
Yeah, the other thing is of people.
Let's do it with our best player, Brooks Lennon. Let's give him some rest.
The other
Genius.
I can't.
The thing that I would say is that, a number of people have commented on this, is that, Almada has looked like towards the end of the season that he's lost a little bit of that jazz or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's because it's a long season and he's young. Right. And so this would have been an opportunity. Get him nowhere near the field, get him rested. It's not like Almada's going to forget how to play football in a week.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't see his first yellow card in this Cincinnati game. Was just a normal run of play foul? Or?
No, they were both the exact same thing.
Both
he
silly?
kicked somebody both times.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that we'll get to it, but
which actually is not just a red card, but it's a young person silly red card, but it also speaks to me as of a tired player. Like, you get a little under your skin when you're a little tired. They've been trying to get under his skin the whole season because he's the best player and they're pushing.
Can you
him,
scoot over here for a second though? I just want to know, like, which is worse out of these two things right here? You ready? Yeah. Which out of those two things? I'm just curious. Which of those things is silly and malicious, right? Because we're talking about just parts of the body, right?
Right.
Now, had I bumped you with my butt like I did, which is about as hard as I kicked you, right? Which I think even the butt bump by the player against Almada was away from the ball. So you could say that was just as silly. And if Almada had fallen down and rolled around like that guy did, like, is that what he should have done? Maybe instead of kicking him back, he should have just fallen and rolled and held his ankle.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is it was a dumb, silly foul. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
He's always going to get that call against him.
Sure.
But my point being is a smart referee, his job is to keep it fair. I would have just turned a blind eye to all that and said, let's get up and play.
I would have given him a tucking to and be
Yeah.
like, come on.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on now, Amada. Don't be silly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't cost your team.
Because, again, the ref's job there is to call a fair game. Both of those players at the end of the day know that they were just, chipping at each other and would have been fine with the no call and the talking
the Cincinnati players are like, we got exactly
Yeah,
what we want. We got
yeah.
under his skin. He retaliated a little bit.
100%,
Nothing happened
yeah.
to me, and bye-bye.
But no, I mean, that's all I'm saying. It's a little nod to maturity of the referee in that situation too, which I mean, 99.9% of the referees are going to give the yellow and the red there anyway, but
I don't.
not a good ref, but I'm just saying most.
Here's the thing that you should know, though. Here's the context, Mikey Dobbs, and here's the why that was never going to happen.
Mhm.
This is the same referee that Almada bumped into after the game was over at the last game of the season last year when he got the red card after the game was over. There's history.
Aha.
So
All right.
he was never going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Got it.
Never.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
comes around, right? You earn some certain things. But anyway, he never should have been in the game. And even if you put him in the game, right, when he gets the first yellow card, how at halftime do you not sub him? Right? We were texting some of the friends of mine, whatever. And, Matt Noop, if you're out there listening, he was like, sub him. And I was like, sub him. Clearly, don't risk it.
Right.
Why?
Because it was 2-2 at that point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand it at all. I just
Yeah.
don't get it. I thought y'all were kidding me because I couldn't watch the game.
No.
And
Yeah.
when y'all
And-
said,
So
And the other thing we have not talked about, but Yakamakis, I have tried to find some information. Do you see any information? He got stamped really hard. He had to be subbed because of the injury. Now, I think he's going to play.
he's fine. Yakamaki's for a big guy is about as dramatic as they come.
No, but
as long as it's not a soft muscle injury,
No, what I
he's
thought-
fine if he got his foot stomped.
no, you know what it looked to me like?
What?
It looked to me like exactly the way that David Beckham broke his metatarsal, where the cleat landed right on the top of the foot with a soft part, like
Yeah.
not a roll injury, but like a
I think he's okay. Here's why. I think he had a post interview after the game, and he was talking positive about the team and everything.
yeah. But maybe Carmen can. Search
I
his
don't.
Twitter
I don't
feed.
think you're going to be as cheerful as he was if he had a.
I agree with you, and I tried
season-ending.
to find something out, but
I didn't see anything.
No.
there.
I only watched up until the red card because I
I've had enough.
I had to watch the game on replay. Watch it Sunday morning, I think.
Yeah.
And as far as like just watching an entertaining soccer game, it was fun for.
We scored one of the best goals we've ever scored.
Yeah, there was
The
some.
first goal that
Yeah.
we scored was absolutely stunning. I mean,
Really?
absolutely stunning. It was like 4 or 5 players,
Yeah,
one or two
Good-
touch,
good
just
teamwork.
broke them all down. I mean, it was a beautiful goal. Maybe we can show that.
yeah, you
for
pull
the,
that up. But
this
yeah,
is the-
I just thought that the team did look like they were knocking the ball around, but of course, Cincinnati was getting chances on the other end as well. But just as far as like actually, again, watching soccer again, enjoying the way Atlanta United is playing, the first half in my mind, at least, was not overly painful. Dave, what was your just taking a step back just in terms of enjoying watching soccer? Did you completely dislike what you're
No,
saying?
I mean Atlanta United over the last 10 games or so, ever since the midseason acquisition. So we've been a joyous team to watch.
Yeah.
So we are terrific going forward. We stream forward. We score great team goals. We're scoring basically at least 2 goals a game. But what's so effing maddening is with all of that, we still not getting the results.
Yeah.
And we're still not getting the results because we continue to give up stupid goals. And one of the things I want to say, circling back to the 53 goals this year versus 54 goals last year, right? The maddening thing about our tactics, and maybe in the offseason, I'm going to go back and look at them all, every single goal that we gave up. But the maddening thing about our tactics is the number of times that we give up a goal where nobody really gets beaten. Right. So the classics way that we give up goals, you break the lines with a pass in the middle because we're too far apart between Rosetto and Muyumba. Then you play it out wide behind the back defender or just out wide. Our wing backs are so pinched in that they're out there. He's allowed to serve it. And then all you have to do is you have two guys running and they get beat on the header.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what happened, right? People are talking about, Wiley got beaten by, Lucho Acosta, and he's so short. But anytime you have a wickedly served in ball, it doesn't matter how short you are. If you have time it right and you got the right, leverage and angle, a guy who is as athletic and is all over him and as taller as Wiley is to Lucho, he still couldn't stop him from scoring. And that's the point.
I do want to see that goal. I want to talk about that in a second. But let's watch our first goal. Carmen here is going to pull it up. So we're playing. Oh, yeah. Great.
Split the line through the
great
middle.
Great ball, by the way.
And Almada, beautiful ball to Saba.
And then cuts it back to Yakimakis.
Oh, it did? Yeah. That looked real nice.
But, yeah, beautiful, it was beautiful ball.
Team goal,
straight up to break the lines there and cut. It was a good, 40-yard ball right up to Almada.
If you're out there, Barry, and you're watching, watch what Yakimakis does on this, right? So first of all, he's offsides. Yeah, then he gets back on sides and he stops, so he's wide open.
Yeah.
That's a lovely goal.
Yeah. And then, Saba should have scored one where he tries to hit it with the outside of his foot later on in the game. Like that was lame. Should have definitely.
But Cincinnati should have scored a couple more goals, particularly after they were a man up. They gifted us. Their young Argentinian player. He missed a sitter.
So it was the goal we were just talking about, the first or second goal from Cincinnati. Do you remember?
Their second goal.
Okay. Do you want to jump to that or what? See the first one?
Oh, sorry. Did I skip one?
Oh no, I just am asking Dave.
Oh, it's fine. Well, the only thing I'll say on the first goal is that they're both services, right? And you can't really, in my opinion, blame the defenders. Let's watch them both, right? Yeah. If you can, because you can't blame the defenders on either one of them, except for the only one you can blame on the first one.
So I think it's up forward, the next spot. Yeah, right. Yep, back, right there. Yeah,
this one.
This is the first Cincinnati goal, I believe.
The only one you can blame. It's a cross low along this inside the 6-yard box, and Guzan doesn't come for it at all. He doesn't get close to it. Yeah. A good goalkeeper grabs that, at least pokes it.
This is what I was going to say. I blame a huge amount of that on Brad Guzan.
So there's a switched ball again to, he's covered at this point. But
so I'm going to go back to that. This is when I watch this. First off, I think first fault here is Caleb Wiley. Didn't put any skin on this guy, lets him just get a free trap without any pressure on him.
Well, that's because he's coming out because he was so pinched in, right?
So what? Then he lets him just do a free flick. He didn't get any pressure on him, okay? And then, boom, he just lays out pinched in, right? But
Guzan's got to get there.
That's Huzettu who's pinched in.
Yes, he does.
And then Guzan has to get there. There's a lot of individual errors.
You can't blame the marking on the far post. Anything that's that close to the goalkeeper, he's got to get easily.
I'm blaming Wiley and Guzan for a lot of bad play right there.
I would say I blame Wiley less because he's so pinched in. If he comes in, he dives in. Maybe the guy goes by him, but
he did not man up on that guy at all. He just let him chest it. You're a little guy. Wiley's not a huge left back. You got to put a little bit of elbow grease on him. And do you think someone defending? That's one of their biggest.
Could have fouled him.
Biggest players, right?
Too, yeah.
You're not going to put any sort of.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Let him know you're there.
I don't disagree.
That's not mentality. That's just. Come on, you got to play some soccer.
But a huge part of that
Brad Guzan
comes from the fact where he started on that play.
Yeah,
because that's a 40-yard ball that was ballooned over.
Agreed.
Any guy who's anywhere close to that, what should have been, as we've been talking about all year, is he should have run forward, headed it, and it should have been counterattack city. Because that was stupid lofted ball.
I like the way
Right?
you're thinking.
I
yeah.
mean, that's the
Anything.
problem. The problem is we should be going the other way. And if you give Almada a counter like that, you know what happens?
What
The
happens?
first goal that we scored is what happened.
Now you and I are talking the same language. Exactly. Wiley, at least go up there for a header. If you bump into and foul them, they get they get a free kick, whatever.
But you have to be closer to do that.
All right. So okay, now it's
What we got?
1-1, and then I think we get the
Yeah,
third
this is
goal.
what
of the
we're
game.
really good at is trading goals.
Let's trade some goals up. Yakamaki's with his 18th
And
goal
you
of the
can
season?
trade goals
17th
against, to be
goal?
honest with you, our finish in the standings, right, is exactly perfect for trading goals. If you trade goals, you can beat anybody below 6.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're not so good. But you cannot beat the top 4.
All right. So Amada strong on the ball. A little reckless though with it, honestly. I wouldn't have
Out
encouraged
to
that.
Saba is on the touchline. Comes in. Plays it back to Hernandez.
It's Almada.
Oh, it's Almada, sorry.
It's Almada who
Was
Stayed
Almada
out
again?
there.
yeah. A little bit of luck in that, but if it's Almada crossing it, then it's probably
But
not
it's
luck.
Gigi,
Yeah.
being amazing about hunting the ball. The
Yeah.
number of
Mhm.
strikers who don't expect that ball to come through and they never go for it. He's just expecting the ball to come through, and that's classic, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great. It's
So-
a great striker.
So the first goal was
Again, Barry, if you're watching, assume the ball's coming to you.